Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. My name's Linda. I'm your trauma recovery coach. And this morning, I was going to go over what we talked about yesterday because the internet was playing up, but I have something very close to my heart this morning to talk about you with. Welcome. It's great to have you with me. Remember to say good day if you're here and feel welcome to ask questions. And if you're here for the replay, do a hashtag replay because I always like to catch up and see how you're going. It's wonderful to be able to talk with you this morning about something that's very close to my heart and something that's very close to all of our hearts. And I've been working through this process for some time, and it's to do with relationships. Now, this can apply to any kind of relationship. But in particular for me this morning, it's about applying these things to relationships that you may or may not see a future with. So whether you're dating, whether you are thinking about dating, whether you're in a friendship and you're thinking about where to from here, I was thinking this morning about how all of this comes together, especially in our third part of recovery, because we still need to be able to identify aspects of what's happening for us, what's happening for the other person, as in we don't have to go into it, what's happening for them, and where we begin to recover from the past, okay? So what I'm working through at the moment, let's just pull up the infographic for today. Oh, I didn't change the first one. Never mind. So the first one today I want to talk to you with, and have us think about it is questions. So when we were younger and we were going through adverse childhood experiences, we didn't ask questions, okay? So we were overwhelmed by the adverse childhood experiences. We never had a chance to learn how to question anything. So when we get into relationships as adults, we need to begin to learn to feel comfortable with asking questions. So not just asking questions of the person we're in the relationship with, but we want to ask questions within ourselves so that we can see where things may or may not be going. But we also want to unpack our part of recovery, okay? So for me, I can see a pattern in my past relationships, and I want to be able to not go down those roads anymore. So first of all, I have to become comfortable to ask questions. Now, the problem with us beginning to ask questions internally is that it can be very triggering because, of course, our brain's wired differently and it's wired for the overwhelm, and the minute we ask questions internally, it does trigger us. And I have absolute proof that it triggers us because when I began asking, I've been asking questions for a while, but this morning at gym, I wanted to go deeper and feel deeper and ask deeper questions of myself as I observed what was happening around me. So as I did this, my brain literally migrained just like that. And I went, okay, so asking questions is going to trigger us. I went, but I can do this, okay? So as we work with our neurobiology, we can work with our breathing, and we want to breathe out, try and breathe out longer than we're breathing in. So I say 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. But what I do now to connect into the vagus nerve, which is very calming in our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, is this is something that Stephen Paul just suggested, is that we talk, and each time we say something, we add an extra word to it. So if you think of it's not an acronym, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy right? So we would start off saying the quick brown fox, then breathing. So we've got to be awareness of our breathing. Imagine that you're breathing in and out of your chest, not your nose. Then we go, the quick brown fox jumped. And as we speak this out loud and add an extra word, we are literally hooking into our calming system, okay? And so as I worked through this and did my self-talk and said, it's okay for me to question, it's okay for me to look for answers, my system did calm down. And I'm sitting here without a migraine. Now that to me is a miracle. Also, my left leg began to ache. I went, okay, it's full on this morning, isn't it? But I went, no, I can do this. I can ask the questions. Then I became aware that I was also dissociating as well. So when we dissociate, we jump over here into a separate part of our mind in order that we can deal with the overwhelm. And also I was reading recently about how dissociation is on a spectrum. So at first I thought, this is last week, I was thinking, I don't dissociate anymore because I didn't feel like I had multiple parts to myself anymore. But when I became aware it was on the spectrum, I become aware of when it's happening now, and it's not emotional, it's when the overwhelm happens, and I jump into that part of my brain in order to process what's happening. So today I went, all right, so I'm questioning, I've got dissociation, I've got body pain, and remember, we want our neurobiology and our body to start getting online with what we want to do as an adult. And it sounds so complex. So when we knit each part together, it does begin to come together and we begin to take back our power and use our breath. Okay. Now, one of the things I discovered this morning was if we're in a relationship with somebody and we're questioning ourselves, then we have to step back, okay? Especially as we're adults, we need to step back because it starts putting us in the crazy cycle. It makes us feel like we're being gaslighted. It takes us out of our power and puts us back into old beliefs that we are powerless. So, say no to that. I am powerful and I can work through this. I have the ability to work through this. And look, sometimes our brain just wants to jump offline and go into emotional dysregulation. And we have to go and sit with that for a while. We do. It's a process. It's not linear. And one of the things I've come to understand is that when we've got to take a step back, we're not going backwards. When we're doing recovery, we're taking a step back and we're actually giving ourselves time and space to look at the picture ahead of us and decide where it is we want to go and how we can approach it. So when we look at the step back as that, we stop giving ourselves a hard time. We rest knowing that we are still doing our work, we're still doing our recovery, and that it all builds into a healthier situation for us. Okay, so we don't want to question ourselves. We know that we know who we are, we know what our values are, we know what our morals are, we know what it is to feel joy, and one of the key essentials is communication. If you're around somebody who's not communicating and is leaving you guessing everything, step back and walk away, all right? Because one of the things that we didn't have permission for as a child or the ability to do was walk away when there was adverse experiences happening around us or to us. So we want to empower ourselves to say, no, I'm allowed to walk away. Yes, it will trigger us because, remember, our programming, if you will, our development at a brain level was that we're not allowed to walk away. So when I was thinking about why do we stay in relationships for too long, especially when we were dealing with complex PTSD, I realised this morning that one of those reasons is because we never learned to walk away as a child. We were never equipped to do that, and we need to do that for ourselves as an adult, give ourselves permission to walk away. Just walk away if people aren't communicating with us, and we need to walk away. And go and sit down and have a discussion with somebody who does know how to communicate, because it's far healthier to be communicating than dealing with somebody who's emotionally unintelligent and expecting you to know how they think and how they feel. Okay? I want to leave that there this morning because it is a lot to absorb, all right? And it's a lot to process. It's a lot to understand. I know for me, it was a lot to comprehend or to wrap my brain around, simply that we were never taught that it's okay to walk away. And it doesn't have to be full-on trauma and abuse. It can simply be that there's no communication, and I give myself permission to walk away. If I'm triggered, I now know it's manageable. I can do my breath work. I can address my body pain. I'm allowed to have questions. It's healthy to have questions. And above and beyond everything else, we can do this in a way that is respectful all round. Okay, have the most gorgeous day if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, and the most wonderful evening if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. And I look forward to sharing more with you tomorrow. Okay, blessings and dreams, and bye for now.